Welcome to In the 305 with Chairman Gilbert, where we talk about the many topics impacting our community. I'm your host, Oliver G. Gilbert III, the chairman of the Miami-Dade County Board of County Commissioners and the County Commissioner for District 1. Tonight on Episode 6 of our show, we will dive into a pivotal moment that's reshaping our world right here in South Florida and far beyond. Witness how local companies and trailblazers are creating a dynamic fusion of innovation and diversity, driving what we proudly call the tech revolution. It's no wonder that one of the biggest tech conferences and expos in the world happened right here in the 305. Emerge Americas brings together tech experts from all walks of life to talk about the future of the industry. And as you'll see, that future is bright. Tonight, we'll meet the president and CEO of Emerge, as well as two local visionaries who are leading the charge in the field of technological innovation. All right, so Melissa, tell me, what is Emerge Americas?
Emerge Americas is a technology platform whose mission is to create an innovative, diverse, and extremely robust tech and entrepreneurial ecosystem here in South Florida. And we do that through a multitude of ways. Most well known for a global tech conference that we launched here a decade ago, where we bring together all the tech ecosystem stakeholders. But we also have a very robust startup accelerator program. We track venture activity, we host digital workshops, and we're doing everything and anything we can all year round to serve that mission.
Okay, so now that's really big. How did you come to this point? Tell me about your experience, your journey. What led you to actually getting to a point where you started something?
Launch this idea?
Yeah. This is because this is big. This is transformative.
Yeah. So it actually stemmed from a conversation that my father and I had back in 2011. I worked for his company called Terramark Worldwide. It was a data infrastructure, data center, cloud computing company, global company headquartered in Miami, and it sold to Verizon in 2011, which was great for our community. Being a technology company, had a success story here, right? And everyone began telling us, now Miami has tech, this is great. And we would say, thank you, but Miami really didn't have tech at the time. And truly the passion that we have for this community and the frustration that we had that we didn't have a robust tech ecosystem, even though people were saying, hey, congrats, Miami has tech, we thought, is there any way to change that narrative? Is there any way to really get people to use Miami and tech in the same sentence and look at us as an innovative city, as an innovative county, as an innovative corridor? And the first idea was, well, there isn't any convening bringing together entrepreneurs, investors, government, education, and tech corporations together, nowhere near Miami. And so we had never been in that business before. This truly was a startup from the beginning, and it took us 2 years to plan and open our doors to the first Emerge Americas in May of 2014. People thought we were crazy, it would never work in Miami, and it's been exciting to see how these last 10 years not only Emerge our organization, but our entire community has really evolved.
Very flourishing city, a very popular, vibrant city. I mean, it's a beautiful place to be, and you can tell, I mean, there's a lot of money being invested here. There's no doubt about that. I can't tell what portion that comes from tech and other industries, but certainly I can see a case for that because it's a great place to live, I think, and to work.
Come to Miami. It's the best city in the world. It's a growing population. It's a growing economy. There's a lot of great things coming in the future.
Saif, I'll start with you. Now, don't be humble. You've had an extraordinary journey. Walk us through it.
Thanks so much, Chair. It's an honor to be here and on the show with my good friend Chessie. Over the last 25 years, really since when we graduated from law school together, the first thing that I did was build a software company, a vendor management company, not too far from the University of Miami. And so that experience of being a founder, having to live through the experience of trying to build a company and eventually exiting and selling that company is a lot of what helped inform the work that I get to do today with Lab 22C, where I get to serve as an operating partner and advisor to founders, investors, institutions, and also economic development agencies that are building tech ecosystems. In the 25 years in between that moment as a founder and where I'm at right now, I had an opportunity to lead a global business in agricultural and engineering services. I had an opportunity to lead a not-for-profit that you and I did a lot of work together with the city here, tackling the high school dropout crisis here in South Florida, and then also playing a role in higher education right here at FIU as the Senior VP of Engagement. But the common theme for me over the last 25 years has really been around how do we optimize human potential against opportunities in the market. And I think technology is really a proxy for that. And in the midst of the pandemic, what really brought me back out into the public square was there was the famous tweet that went around the world with Mayor Suarez right at the start of the pandemic when all of us started to witness so many founders and technologists moving in here. And he responded with a tweet that said, "How can I help?" And on the other side of that was many of us raising our hands saying, we want to build up this technology ecosystem in South Florida. And I had an opportunity to join him in the same way that Chessie has been able to join with Mayor Levine Cava and co-creating with him Venture Miami, which became one part of a network of the momentum that we now see today, which I'm so proud that that work is really being carried in full muster by the county with the work that Chessie is leading on the behalf of yourself, the county commission, and Mayor Levine Cava.
Listen, 50% of the people who live in Miami-Dade County now were born in a different country. And I tell people all the time that that's a blessing because we have talent and imagination and hunger. And so innovation comes when that imagination meets need and capacity. And the person who's actually helping shape that and create that and manage all of those different, type of intersections is Chessie. Now, Chessie, you have a big, impressive title. Tell us what you do for the county.
So I have the opportunity to sustain our economic growth through traditional economic development, which is how do we attract and grow the best companies here in Miami-Dade County. And then I marry that with innovation to think about how we can be thinking about the future. What are the policies, the processes, the programs that we need to put in place to make sure that doing business in Miami-Dade County is as easy, as fast, and as cheap as possible, and that doing business with the county is those things too. And Chair, you have been a huge proponent of that work, and it's that piece of doing business with the county and the opportunity to innovate within the county that is super exciting and unique about this role.
That's very special, and you're doing a good job. Now, I've heard this phrase, a future-ready economy. And so, it's one of those words that everyone kind of assigns like their own meaning to it. But what's your definition of a future-ready economy, and how does that reflect on Miami-Dade County and our economy and our residents?
So for me, a future-ready Miami-Dade County is an economy that's going to be ready to have jobs for my daughters. And I ground myself in that work because I left Miami. I went to study outside of Miami. I found jobs outside of Miami, and I came back twice. The first time that I came back, my opportunities took me to Silicon Valley because there weren't tech jobs here. And so I want to make sure that we have any single type of job available to my daughters who are 4 and 7. And that we have the businesses here to support their dreams when they're ready to be in the workforce.
I think there is a mix of different people from all across the world here, and I think that a union of different peoples, different minds, is definitely great in terms of the level of human capital.
I think the connection with South America that we have a lot of South American banks here, and I also think that it's a nice place to live, which could attract employees. And also like the tax situation as far as corporate and income taxes can make it a good place for high earning workers in tech.
Oh, absolutely. That's actually the reason that my business actually moved from here. So we were in Texas before, and during COVID we were looking to move to New York. And we went there and we didn't see what was going on. It just didn't seem like it had an upward trajectory. And then we visited Brickell specifically, and we're like, this is it. Like, we see all the skyscrapers going up, all the construction. It's very business friendly. The tax code's great. So I absolutely believe so, and especially with all the things going on. BlackRock has bought a couple acres. Sam Altman from ChatGPT is looking to move to South Florida as well. So it's really got that trajectory to go into the next Silicon Valley.
Saif, I know that a lot of companies are looking at Miami-Dade County as a new tech hub. What is it that they're seeing that tell our audience what they're seeing, because I want them to see how the rest of the world is actually seeing us.
It's a great question. I think one thing that a lot of them are seeing that we can't underestimate is that culture matters. Culture matters. America has been defined in different chapters by cities that really capture the aspirational energy of America in a moment. We think about New York at the turn of the century. We think about Chicago during the time of the World's Fair. I think that people feel, and it's palpable in the air. All three of us are biased because we're from the 305, but people feel it. There's this aspirational energy that cannot be mimicked or copied anywhere else in the world, on top of the fact that we have the type of infrastructure. People woke up and they realized that there's global talent here, that we're commercializing technology, that we have core competitive advantages because our leadership has said there are certain sectors like what Chessie's leading on with clean tech, other sectors like health tech and fintech, that people are saying like we can actually build world-class companies here. It isn't just the tax climate. When people say, well, they moved to Florida because we've got an advantageous and favorable tax climate, there's no doubt about that. People are making economic decisions that make sense for them and their families. But I think our core competitive advantage is aspirational energy. I like to say what's happening in Miami, insert whatever language, I'm from the Caribbean, but I'll use Spanish, it's a nosotros moment, it's a nous moment, it's all of us. So we have to fight every single day for that to happen. I think that's why people are moving here.
The aspirational energy of Miami-Dade County is drawing people. I like that. I like that. So we've heard about the things that, from a micro and macro level, how people see it and what draws them here. What are the challenges that we face?
We're a very young area. And so when we compare ourselves to other jurisdictions, you're talking about places that have 200 years of history. And so they have a lot of infrastructure, cultural, schooling. They have done a lot of urban planning. For us, we have grown over the last 70 years. So we're young, we're new, we have a lot of energy. And I think our biggest challenge is the opportunity to come together and to create a really holistic strategy for what the future is going to look like. And Chair, I know that you have legislation right now thinking about that, the 30 for 30, am I getting that right?
Yes.
30 for 30. But you know, a lot of these big cities and a lot of these big municipalities have done that, and they did that 150 years ago.
There are always challenges. I look at it as the glass is half full. It's because we're still a very young tech ecosystem, very young. We still need a lot more support. We still need more venture capital companies here. You know, all of that takes time, and we will get there. I think something that we're working on as an organization, it's not only a Florida or South Florida challenge, it's a national challenge, is that underrepresented entrepreneurs receive a dismal % of venture dollars. And the Startup Accelerator programs that we host, really proud to say that over 70% of our cohort, it's made up of 100 companies, are underrepresented founders. So we're creating bridges with the venture world to hopefully decrease those gaps that exist.
I love that, access and opportunity.
We need to focus on that.
And we all should as a community. Why is it so important not to be left behind in this revolution?
The one word that comes to my mind when you ask that question is competitiveness. We need to be competitive. We need to think about the next generation. We need to think about creating opportunities for them. If we're not thinking innovatively, if we're not providing digital access, you know, I think we're not being fair to the next generation. If we're not thinking about creating a knowledge-based economy, we're setting them up for failure, essentially.
We have to get public and private sector together. I think we've got leadership for the first time in a very, very long time that sees that very clearly. We also need to make sure that everybody has an opportunity to play in this opportunity economy. New York defines itself by who they exclude. Miami, we define ourselves by who we include.
Right.
And I think if you view it in that regard, I think that that's really what our greatest opportunities. Our challenges really remain. We have to be taking our academic institutions, we need to be pumping out and commercializing more technology. I say this lovingly for all the tech bros in Wynwood, right? But at the end of the day, it's not about hipsters at coffee shops in Wynwood. It's about PhDs doing bench science at our academic institutions, and then we can commercialize this technology and take it to market. That's how you build multi-billion-dollar companies. We also need to make sure all these companies that are coming here, they know that we've got world-class talent. We will not win and thrive if we simply import all the talent. That means all this great talent that we're producing in our institutions will have a reverse flow of the talent. And at the end of the day, we need to make sure that quality of life, which is sacred, it doesn't matter whether you're in Miami Gardens, you're in Homestead, you're in Westchester or Kendall, that everyone is able to participate in that livability, that quality of life that made this place. I'm an immigrant. You talked about that idea of 50%. I was born in Guyana. I came here when I was 2 years old. If you cut me, I bleed guarapo and cafecito and all those things. But at the end of the day, I think it comes down to that opportunity economy of Miami. We need to preserve that, and we can't be pricing people out of that opportunity.
I think the challenge is for already existing residents, making sure you don't price them out of their neighborhoods and force them out of Miami. I think it's important to make sure that these tech companies and their employees coexist with the people who are already here, not replace them.
More money coming in for research and development, because without having just pure research and development, without necessarily having a product in mind, to push technology forward, you need university students, you need well-funded departments, but you also need things like Bell Labs. You need things where bright minds can tinker around and develop new things without necessarily having to worry about making a profit or how we're going to make money in in a business quarter, in a year, in 2 years.
So 10 years later now, 10 years ago, that was 2014, we're now 2024.
Yes.
What changes have you seen in the tech industry in South Florida in the past decade?
There have been so many changes, from the amount of startup activity, from the amount of investors that are here, from a global landscape. Miami was never seen as a competitive global tech hub. Now, the world is looking at Miami. We don't have to convince people anymore that you can launch your business here. It's a completely different narrative. We have support from all sectors, where in the beginning it was, why are you doing that? I'm not sure if I should be involved. It doesn't really make sense in this geographic area. And that has changed completely. We've had a huge influx of financial capital, of investors, of talent, and all of that sort of has created this perfect storm, to be honest, for creating an incredible landscape of tech and entrepreneurship in our community. The last 10 years have been extremely transformational, and I would say post-COVID has really kind of accelerated everything. That really opened the doors, I think, for our community, which we never want to go through again, but if we're being honest, there was a silver lining for our entire state, to be honest.
Yeah, we had a lot of people come in and we figured out what we could do and who we could become, and we started working towards it.
Absolutely, and I think there was a solid foundation, and then the doors kind of opening and the floodgate kind of opening, we leveraged that. And the last 4 or 5 years have just been phenomenal.
Last question to both of you. Where do you see the Miami-Dade County, South Florida, tech revolution 10 years out? Where do you see us?
I think that we are going to be the world-class city where people want to come and live and build companies. I don't think that there is anywhere that allows you the flexibility, both in terms of career and of lifestyle, like Miami. I think that Miami-Dade and our universities, to what Saif was saying, and Saif was one of the people that was so instrumental to making sure that that happened at FIU, we are competing with world-class universities for the intellectual property that we're putting out, for the number of degrees that we're putting out. that idea that we understand that it is about making sure that everyone has an opportunity instead of closing the doors behind us is something that is going to be a step change in who we are and who our academic universities are. And I also think that we, as a community, thrive under pressure. We do it better than anyone else. And right now we are under pressure because we have the fastest growing economy in the United States. We are the most susceptible to sea level changes. We have a very, very low unemployment rate, which is great on the one hand, but makes it really hard as a small business owner to do business here. And we have really high cost of housing. And this is an opportunity for us to shine, because if there is one thing, if Miami is going to do well, it is under a pressure cooker. And so I am 100% convinced, and I am betting on Miami-Dade, because in those moments where you need grit, we are the place with the most grit.
I agree with Jesse. Like, if you're talking about what stock ticker to buy, and if you could make a seed investment in, if Miami-Dade was a city and you could actually make $1 investment in it, just like the way a venture capitalist invests in a company, I think plus 10 years, we win, and we position to win the second half of the 21st century.
I think that you both are right, and from my perspective, I'm bullish on Miami-Dade County also over the next 10 years, and it's mainly because they call us the Magic City. And I've come to understand that the magic in Miami-Dade County is all of us. It's the people. Like the sun and the beach, that's great. The weather is wonderful. But the magic is the people in Miami-Dade County. It's the mixture of people from all across the world, from every upbringing, all coming here trying at the same time, in the same place, in the same moment, trying to make the greatest impact they can to try to make real the American dream. That's what you're seeing. Tell me, when is the next Emerge Americas Conference, and what can we expect on the big stage, the main stage, all the stages? I mean, I know I'm going to be there.
Absolutely.
That's just me pitching. I'm going to be there.
You're going to be there on stage
yes,
again.
I'm going to be on stage again, and I loved it, by the way.
Thank you.
I
appreciate you being there.
No, it wasn't just listening. It wasn't just speaking. It was listening.
Yeah.
Like talking to the people and watching the folks before me and after me. It really was an amazing time.
A lot of people said that there was a really amazing energy that was palpable. And that was really amazing to hear. And I think that has changed also. People are really excited about what this community is building, what we're building together. But next year, the event is March 27th and 28th, again at the Miami Beach Convention Center. Those are the 2 main days, but we host a lot of events throughout that entire month and the weeks before and weeks after. What to expect is a lot of emerging technologies, talks around artificial intelligence, quantum, the intersection of technology and healthcare, the intersection of technology and government. We're going to be having all these conversations on stage next year. And yeah, we're going to make it fun.
I'm looking forward to it already.
I always like to share the best, worst piece of advice I ever got as a founder here in Miami. And the best, worst piece of advice I ever got was, I'll never forget it. I was a young founder. I was 24, 25 years old. And I went to a tech conference in Boston. And I met somebody that at that time was one of the most famous people in technology. He was actually the former chief marketing officer of Apple. And I said to him, I said, "Sir, my name is Saif. I'm a founder. I'm building this vendor management software company in Miami." And he said, "Young man, can I give you a piece of advice?" And I said, "Yeah." He said, "You need to move from Miami." And I consider that the best, worst piece of advice I ever got, because I saw something in this city that we all love 25 years ago that I think is what gives me the conviction that I have today in working with the founders, the investors that I have, that I don't ever want some young founder, her being told that she can't build a world-class company right here in the 305.
That's funny. I bet you he probably has a place here now. Yeah, he probably has a place here now. Yeah, he probably has a place
Jesse and I
here.
might have to check on that.
Yeah, let's look him up and ask him how that worked out for him. Yeah. I asked the question to some of our guests. I asked, what were the challenges? And it's interesting because when I think about challenges, I think our greatest challenge is going to be us. Whether we actually believe in the power of us. whether we anchor ourselves to a past that hasn't benefited a greater collective, or whether we actually walk boldly, assertively, aggressively into a future that we are creating, that we are curating. We got to believe in us. If we don't believe in us, if we don't bet on us, if we aren't willing to bet on us together, not us singularly, not one region versus another, one ethnicity versus the other, us together. Us together is unstoppable. The power of us together is unstoppable. I believe that's where our future lies. If you want to hear more about any particular topic or have a question for me or one of our experts, email us at ogvideosub@miamidade.gov. And don't forget, you can find all of our past episodes on islandtv.tv. Have a good night, and we'll be seeing you soon.